You are listening to episode 114 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey, everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and are you ready for some inflation deflation?
That's a... Oh, I see what you did there. Yeah, I see what you did there. Okay.
Monday night!
It is Monday night. So, this week we play Tecmo Bowl. Because,
Tecmo Bowl.
You know, the NFL playoffs have started, and why not play some Tecmo Bowl?
We're seasonal. We're on top of it. We know what happens in the world.
Sometimes, yeah. All right, well, that being said, here on the Game Deflators Podcast, as Ryan said, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, which this week we have none. I have not picked up any games this week. You haven't picked up any games this week.
It's normal for me. I think we need to get John checked.
I don't know. Dude, you know, with my currently playing this week, there's a reason I haven't picked up any games. But before we dig into everything, this week we have a few different articles. One of them being Microsoft recently asked players what the PlayStation 5 controller has and features that they want to see in their controller. So looks like Microsoft's trying to dig in and copy a little bit. And speaking of copying, Microsoft at one point in time dismantled the PS2 to help develop the first Xbox. And of course, they once tried to purchase Nintendo. So that's another article we're looking at this week. And lastly, we keep talking about this. It just needs to happen. It's going to happen at some point. We're going to keep talking. It'll happen. Nintendo Switch new revision, codenamed, I guess that's Aula. A-U-L-A is data mined. And it's to feature an OLED screen, new dock, and 4K support, and more. So we'll dig into that later before our Inflation Deflation Challenge. But this week, and by the way, Ryan, I hope you picked out trivia, because I did not. Current pickups, nothing. And currently playing, dude, Apex Legends. I might be addicted. I have been consistently playing that game on a day-to-day basis. If I find 10 minutes free, I pop up Apex. When I get, home, Apex. When I'm about ready for bed, Apex. It's just been Apex Legends. I've gone in 1 week since I started playing to level 38, I think, in the game. I'm racked up like 100-something kills and tons of revives. I've got like 5 wins under my belt now, which is kind of cool. So I'm right in that range. I think they say like every 20 games you should win like 1 game. So I think I'm right in that range. I've won 5 games with 1 character and it's 7 total. So I don't know if I've played 140 games, but I've played quite a few. And I'm getting better and better. So this past week, I was kill leader twice. Once with a game where I had 12 kills and another one where I had 5. So it's picking up, dude. My first-person shooter skills that I have not utilized for some time, they've been in retirement mode, are kicking up, and it's kind of getting me wanting to play some other first-person shooters here pretty soon. And honestly, man, one of the things I really need to do ASAP is jump onto Jade Cocoon, beat that, and start playing God of War so I can get away from Apex, because it is consuming every single moment of gaming that I have right now. So, that being said, man, I know you're looking for trivia, but what are you playing right now?
So I played... I went and saw some family this week, and I showed my cousin What Remains of Edith Finch. We played through like the first little leg of that. He seemed to really like it. I like that game a lot. I played through it a couple times now. That's always fun. It's on Game Pass now. He has Game Pass. So I figured, hey, if you got Game Pass, why not check it out? So I think it just came to Game Pass. So if you were a Game Passer, be on the lookout for that, I guess. And then I also played a little bit more Hades. I decided that I'm going to switch over to God Mode, which God Mode in Hades is a play mode that you get like, once you turn it on, you get a base like 20% damage resistance. And then the more you die, like it gives you either more damage resistance. I don't know if it gives you something more than just damage resistance, but I've died enough times since turning God Mode on now that it bumped me up to, I think, 24%. So it just makes the game easier the more you go through, but keeps it just challenging enough that it's not like every time you die, I don't think it goes up, but you could turn it off whenever you want. But it's just like later in the game, you have to start putting on the like difficulty multiplier stuff so that you can keep grinding, and I've still only beaten it the once. And I feel like it's recommending me the bow all the time, and I kind of don't like the bow very much compared to all the other weapons. I don't know. Sometimes it does good, sometimes it does bad. It might just be that I've had like a bunch of bad runs with the bow. Like I always feel like I'm making the wrong choices, and I feel like I'm doing that a lot because there's in the game you get this list of the fates, which is it's basically like a checklist of, you know, here's all the boons that you can get from the gods, here's all the upgrades that you can make to your weapon, here's all the, you know, duo boons that you can get. So it's like once you've done everything on one of those lists, you get like some type of reward. Usually it's like gems, but it could be diamonds, or it could be ichors. It could be like a whole bunch of different stuff. So whichever reward you're looking for, you're kind of always picking things that you haven't picked before just to check it off that list, because who knows when it's going to come around again. So that doesn't necessarily make for like the most optimized builds that you could potentially go for, like just grabbing things because they're available. Like the bow, I just had to pick long shot because I hadn't ran into that one. And it's okay. Like it seems like, yeah, having a bow, being far away, that makes sense. But like trying to keep yourself spaced against enemies that are constantly pushing towards you sucks. There's like certain boons that you can get that like push enemies away, but certain enemies don't get pushed away very much. Like it doesn't help you at all against a boss. Like the extra damage that comes with the pushing away is helpful, but you're not going to throw the bosses around. And trying to maintain distance, especially in like the Elysium, you're fighting a Minotaur and Theseus. The Minotaur's like charging at you all the time, lunging at you with his axe, and Theseus is standing back, throwing his javelin and holding his spear up, and can only be hit from behind and is trying to range you out. And it's really hard to manage both of those with a bow. So it's frustrating. It's so fun though. I'm still having a great time.
You think you're gonna beat it?
I mean, I already beat like one playthrough. Like I beat it with the gun thing. I forget what it's actually called. But
Well, so you technically beat this game.
I beat like a run, but that's not like, that's just the very beginning.
Oh,
like there's way more to go. You can keep going.
Okay, so I gotcha. All right, I'm just trying to think, like, if this is your first game of 2021 that you'll have beat. Might be the only, but yeah.
Could be. And I'm thinking about picking up that Apex Legends, though, because you're not the only person who's been talking about it to me lately, and now I think I've got enough people that I know. Because, like, I mean, I could just go on and play with, like, randos, but that's a kind of game I'd rather play with somebody and, like, chit-chat and stuff.
Well, randos kind of piss me off in that game, so the big issue that I've had is, like, you're in the middle of playing for rando, and they just will be, like, AFK.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And you're like, what the hell? Like, why would you even jump into a match if you're not going to play? Like, they literally just stand there. So that's on non-ranked. If you're doing ranked, I think it's a little different because you can report people for that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not as bad. But yeah, man, like just standard modes and trying to play with people. I've had so many randos just like stop playing or away from keyboard, or like they're in the middle playing with you and then they stop, or you go down and they have a chance to revive you and they don't revive you, or they don't play with, like, I play with Lifeline in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the healer in a sense, so she can quickly do like a mobile revive, which is pretty badass, and it throws up a nice shield, and then you can defend and everything else, and she has like this life bot that she uses as well. So I personally think she's one of the better characters, and so I play with her. But the other day I'm playing with a guy and he decides to pick her, and I'm sitting in the back of this like firefight because I go down and realize I had like 7 or 8 kills that game, and this guy goes through and he runs into the middle of a firefight instead of coming to recover me, who's actually I think I was playing Wraith in that game, who's like this interdimensional traveler in the game. And he goes in this firefight instead of, being the support character he's supposed to be and recovering me. So a lot of weird stuff with randos, man. Like sometimes I just can't stand it. So the game itself, though, if you get to play, it's definitely a lot of fun. It's pretty addicting. It's free. You can buy skins and cosmetic type stuff if you wanted to, but it's not necessary. And unlockables, I think my buddy Justin was telling me that it's like every 25 levels or 20 levels you can kind of theoretically unlock a new character in there, and he's almost unlocked all of them. He's like level 140, 150. I mean, he's been playing for some time, but if you stay pretty consistent, I think you can unlock all the characters and get a massive amount of skins and other stuff pretty quickly in that game. Just got to play consistently. Well, that being said, man, did you end up finding a trivia question here for me?
Yeah, I was trying to find a little bit of a deeper answer, but I think we could probably just guess our way through it. Which game developer has won 4 Game of the Year awards for their work?
Naughty Dog?
No, it's a person.
Oh, which game? Oh, game like creator?
It says developer.
Oh, what's his face? For Metal Gear Solid. Kojima.
No, wrong,
Really?
sir. Todd Howard.
Todd Howard. Oh yeah, he's with Bethesda, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm guessing, I'm trying to find like a list of what all those games are, but I'm guessing it's like probably
Fallout,
like Fallout,
Skyrim,
and
Elder Scrolls
Oblivion.
Oblivion. Yeah, I would imagine that's probably what it is. Well, before we get into our articles here, of course, you can find our podcast on all of those awesome podcast applications, such as Podcast Addict, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. Give us a 5-star review if you can't leave 6. And social media. Find us on Facebook at The Game Deflators, Instagram at The Game Deflators, and Twitter at Game Deflators, because they just don't like the. All right, dude.
I think you guys should send us trivia, because obviously we're not great at finding good trivia.
Yeah, but then I guess it would be me that saw the answers, though, because, like...
Maybe we each need to just, like, come up with a list of trivia ahead of time, and then we'll just go through until we run out, and then do more.
What's the fun of that, though? It's a trope now.
I guess.
Yeah.
The people like it, I guess, maybe.
Maybe. Okay. Our first article is Microsoft asks Xbox players what PS5 controller features they want to see. So they recently did like a survey, and hold on, this is by Daniel Hollis at NME, so NME.com. But yeah, so they did a survey with a lot of their users recently to be like, what do you want to see in a new controller that the PS5 has? And it's interesting, man, that they would go through this because, you know, in some of these other articles, it's interesting that these all kind of came down at once this week. Microsoft has done, I wouldn't say necessarily a lot of copying, even though I would say they probably have copied, you know, in their own way. But they've done a lot of stuff over years to, like, innovate their own products. And, you know, this is one of them, right? Like, what do they have that we can put in our controller? And likely what they would do from there, because I'm sure there's patents and such for some of what Sony has in those controllers and what they're doing. I could likely see Microsoft saying, well, they have this, but let's try and make it better.
Well, and Microsoft's had patents since I know that I've heard people talk about this before, and I tried to look back, and I found people talking about it back in 2019. They had patents, and you can see the images of like a geared system in the controllers to provide some type of active resistance. So, you know, it's not like it's not something that they've thought about before.
They just haven't put it into production, essentially.
Yeah, but them going out and asking this question, I've heard other people say this too, that the Microsoft new console line doesn't feel as next gen as the Sony new console line. Like, the dashboard is totally revamped and new and looks different and looks like more future tech. You know, the controller is way more future tech. The console itself looks way more like this is something different. This is something you haven't seen before. And everything that Microsoft has doled out is like, here's a very similar dashboard. Here's a very similar controller. Here's a, you know, just square or rectangular box that's very unassuming and will just kind of nestle in and blend into the background. And what's making the PS5, like, all of those things together really make it seem like a newer piece of tech that's giving you new stuff, and it makes it feel way more next gen. And I think maybe, you know, Microsoft had a really good approach with the Series S and the Series X, and, you know, they're really well put together systems. Everybody's clamoring for one. You know, their launch lineup isn't the greatest, but like the tech itself, like, there's just nothing about it that isn't the last series or just the Xbox One generation that isn't just that, but, stronger, prettier. Everything else is utilitarian at best.
And so here's what's interesting when you look at a global scale right now for those two consoles. This is from VG.
The Switch is still killing them.
Oh yeah, Switch is still killing everybody. But VG Charts, for example, currently has a PS5 as of let's see, this was Hardware Charts the 26th of December, so several weeks ago. They had the PS5 sitting at 287,000 consoles to Microsoft's 158,000 consoles sold. In fact, the PS4 sold just 19,000 less during that same time frame on a global basis than the Xbox Series X and S.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary when you think about it.
Well, and that's why they're didn't we talk last week about how they're shutting down the different SKUs and they're going to start producing less PlayStations so that they can start producing more PS5s?
Yeah, I want to say we talked about that last. Well, no, we didn't talk about there. It was an article recently, and it wasn't shutting down production of PS4s and such. It was they were looking to.
They're eliminating a bunch of the SKUs.
Yeah,
they're going to just have like a base.
Well, the
model.
SKUs that they were looking to eliminate, I would imagine the Pro is probably one of them, or to lower the price point. But the SKUs,
I think they're going to eliminate the Pro because, like, for $400, you spend $100 more and you get a PS5.
Yeah, I think the key thing they were looking to eliminate were like the special edition consoles, if I'm correct, from when I read that. So like
the Glacier White one,
yeah, like any sort of consoles that are non-base variants, that's what they were eliminating, from what I understand.
Well, either way, they'll open up their lines and start building more PS5s.
That was absolutely hilarious. Obviously, you guys can't see this because it's not a video recording, but in the middle of recording, Ryan's chair just lost all of its air inside the seating.
I tried to spin and my leg caught the handle and I just started descending slowly.
And the look of panic.
We're going down, folks.
The look of panic on your face was absolutely hilarious. It's like, what's going on? Yeah, so I mean, going back to this, so I mean, I get it. Like, one of the biggest selling points that I think has been occurring right now with the PlayStation 5 is obviously games is one component, but the other one is that haptic feedback in that controller, and it just having a really badass controller. And so if Microsoft wants to be the all-around powerhouse that it is for its console, they need to deliver games, which I feel that they're doing now. They're delivering the games, but now they have to really kind of jump into other modalities or not modalities, but other types of technology within the console to make it more than just an Xbox,
Well,
and
and
haptic
the
feedback controller, VR of some sort, if they're able to put that in. They have to do more to compete with Sony, and it seems like since the original Xbox came out, they've just been riding on Sony's coattails for so long, man.
Yeah, that's the thing I really want to see. I'm guessing probably like 2022, like we'll get through this first year of PS5 and then probably start jumping into PSVR 2 territory.
Yeah, and it might be one of those things that Sony has plans already for like a PS5 Pro or some sort of revamp down the road, and they don't plan on releasing VR until that time frame because kind of like with the VR on the Pro.
Another reason to wait.
Yeah, I mean the VR was better on the Pro than it was on the base PlayStation, apparently, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's why you would wait. So I could see them waiting for another VR to come out, like 2022, with a new console.
Is it crazy that PSVR probably runs better than Cyberpunk on the original PS4?
That's actually kind of scary. Yeah, that's pretty bad. All right, so the next thing here, talking about Microsoft riding some coattails, is back before the original Xbox came out. So this was actually a pretty interesting read. But this is by William Miracle at Game Rant, and pretty much Microsoft dismantled the PS2 to help develop the first Xbox. So the way this article reads is they were talking to, I forget who it was, but it was a former or head of development for Microsoft, and they were initially calling the Xbox like the coffin box because they were thinking that if this console failed, a lot of them would lose their jobs. So, coffin box. And what they did to kind of help them out is, Sony was at the top of its game saying that this was like next gen, this was elite. They were, ahead of the game and leading the gaming space, and Microsoft really didn't like that. So they ended up taking a PlayStation 2 console, tearing the entire thing apart. And it's a really interesting story. Like I never really thought about this side of the industry and the production of the consoles and what goes into thinking, what do we charge and such. And apparently what they did is they literally just dismantled this whole thing, counted the screws, looked at every component of it, wrote it all up, wrote out the cost of production, everything that could possibly go into this, to then go ahead and create their own machine and try to put it out at a competitive price point. So, and of course they had the advantage at that point in time, or disadvantage, I guess, in a sense, of not having a console out at that time and being like a year behind, or however long it was at that period of time, and being able to really dismantle that console and have it at their disposal versus, in current gen situations, it's one of those trying to get out as fast as you can at the cheapest price point and guessing what, based on the specs and such that you might have for your competitors, and trying to base it around that and create the best machine you can, but not fully understanding what you have to go against. So I think that was an interesting take on what they were doing to develop the original Xbox. It's just not something I ever thought of.
Yeah. Couple other things I liked from this article. They talked about the original design for the Xbox was just going to be a big silver X. I would love to see like a render of that. I want to see what that would have looked like. I want to see the universe where the first Xbox at launch was just this big silver X that just sits on your entertainment center, and everybody's like, oh, it's an Xbox.
So I remember when the Xbox was initially coming out, I of course was not an Xbox person. I got my first Xbox probably like 8-10 years ago at most, or at most, I think. And I think the really cool thing is, like, when it was coming out, a friend of mine was saying, "Oh, don't you want to wait for the Xbox?" I'm like, fuck no, I'm not gonna wait for the Xbox to come out. Like, I got my PlayStation 2. Like, I was already in the middle of playing games with friends. Like, why would I ever want to jump into this Microsoft console that has like a few games here or there that I may or may not be interested in? But the one cool thing about the Xbox was the fact that it had a big ass X right on the top of it.
Right.
Like, you had the logo in green, but then you had like just the lines of X to make the X
those
kind of
fat controllers with the giant Xbox logo.
The Duke. I think that's what it's called, the Duke.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting history behind Microsoft here.
Yeah. They also say in the article near the end, I think, that in IKEA now they have like mock models of like the PS5 and the Series X, so you can see how it will fit in with like the furniture setting. Like, man, they better have made IKEA furniture bigger, because I don't think most of my IKEA furniture would really like handle a PS5.
And for those of you wondering like what IKEA stands for, it's actually Swedish for particle board. Yeah. No, it really isn't, but all their stuff is created out of particle board.
Hey, it's cheap and effective, John.
I guess. Yeah, it's cheap, that's for sure. So,
John, don't get the IKEA fans after us.
Okay. IKEA, I love the meatballs. And I do have an IKEA table. I've had it for some time, that one that's outside of my backyard. Yeah. That metal one. It's
doing work for you.
Yeah, it's lasted for 6 years now? Not a single issue. But dude, also the last thing on that article with the dismantling, they did mention that while doing like testing in the prototypes, they were like, I think they said like 1 out of every 4 consoles like worked, and they had so many scratch discs and stuff from the actual drives. So again, it's just a really interesting article to read through and just kind of get that perspective of the production of a console and the behind the scenes and the thought process and went behind it. And they don't go too deep into like cost production and exactly what certain items cost and all that, because of course you're not going to reveal that type of info to the public, but it was still a pretty cool read, so definitely give that one a shot. The next one that we have here is Nintendo once laughed at Xbox execs coming out. They laughed at Xbox execs once laughed at Xbox execs out of the room over a Microsoft acquisition offer. That is the weirdest flipping title, dude.
Yeah, it's oddly worded. I'm not a writer. I'm going to trust that they did it right.
Nintendo once laughed Xbox execs out of the office over a Microsoft acquisition offer. It's just a tongue twister. That's what got me. Yeah. Okay, so this one is Megan. I can't see the name from here. I think it's Farouk Manesh at The Verge. And a lot of Verge articles in our time here on the podcast. But this one really goes into, it's not a super detailed article. It's just primarily while they were discussing the coffin box, and the production of it and what they want to do, Microsoft is pretty much saying, go out and try to do whatever you can. Like execs were saying,
they thought that they could just buy somebody and get into the industry and just like slap a Microsoft logo on it and call it good.
Well, it wasn't even like all that. Like it was that, but it was like, oh, we'll go out and buy EA, buy Square, buy these. Like they wanted
anything that they could get.
Yeah, whoever we can buy, go out and buy them. And for whatever reason, an exec said, go see Nintendo and see if we can buy Nintendo. And so pretty much they sat back in a room apparently with Nintendo, and they said it was if you've ever been to an hour-long meeting where they're just laughing their asses off at you, and that's it.
Yeah.
Then that's what they said. It was like probably one of the worst meetings they'd ever been in, just because of that, the embarrassment of walking into a Japanese treasure, okay, and just being like, we want to buy your company. That's never going to happen. It would never happen. That'd be like going in and saying, we want to buy Sony.
Yeah.
It's not happening. That's so stupid. Like Japan keeps so much stuff.
It's a
like,
big misunderstanding.
Yeah, 100%.
Cultural misunderstanding that they would have thought that would have gone down like that.
Yeah, like 100%. And then you think about the fact that Xbox sales have been pretty poor in Japan for a number of years. Like you suck in that market, okay? Like not then, but like you try to purchase a Japanese company, and then you suck in the Japanese market for years upon years. You haven't established yourself as a console anybody wants to buy in Japan. I mean, it's got significantly, I don't even think it hit 1,000 sales during Christmas. I think it showed like 113 or something like that.
I don't know. I saw the numbers on that kind of stuff like a week ago, but I don't remember.
So in Japan that week of the 26th, they sold 218 consoles compared to Sony's 13,000.
Yeah.
And then compared to Nintendo's 279,000.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe like Nintendo's still pushing 250,000 units in a week.
Yeah, well, just Japan.
Yeah,
1.5 million globally. So, yeah, there's like I said, there's not a whole lot in depth in this article, but like you said, man, cultural misunderstanding. There's no reason for them to go into Japan and being like, we're buying Nintendo.
I know. I hope they at least got like a good weekend and got to see some sights or something, because like it's not like, they probably booked their plane thinking, we'll go in and maybe we'll have a second meeting. No, it was just the one laugh fest and then dejection.
Went out and bought their square watermelons, saw the colorful toilet, from the Simpsons. That's what they had to do. And then there was one other piece to that article I was thinking about. At the end of the day, they did buy Rare. They did get them.
I wonder what would have happened. Like, they should have gone and talked to Sega.
Yeah. Sega
like, really? Because, I mean...
Well, who knows? Maybe they did.
It could come out, and if it did come out, then that would have been a much better way. Like, could you imagine if Sega and Microsoft teamed up? I mean, we just talked like a few months ago about some rumor article that Sega was going to make a big announcement, and there was rumors like, oh, maybe they've been acquired by Xbox or Microsoft.
If Microsoft would have acquired Sega to be able to jump into the Japanese market, yeah.
Game changer.
For sure, game changer. But I think at this point, Sega
Dreamcast probably would have been like a huge success.
Yeah, if they did a Dreamcast too, it probably would be a huge success. There's so much nostalgia for what essentially was a decent console. Like, it wasn't bad. It's just,
What if they made the Sega Dreamcast, but it was a big Silver X? They still called it the Dreamcast.
No. It'd have to be a big D.
A big D.
Just a big D. That's how they'd launch it.
Big D.
What Nintendo, Microsoft's D's. I don't know, man. The big D. That'd be interesting. Oh my god, and the colors. If you just had different colors of D's, yeah. That'd be an interesting process. Well, okay, man. Let's before we get into a whole little tangent here on D's. Nintendo Switch new revision, codenamed Aula. God, man, you're spelling. Oh, Datamind. I thought it said determine. Datamind. To feature OLED screen, new dock, 4K support, and more. Man, I'm off today.
Challenging.
Francisco De Mayo at WCC Tech. So
it's cool, but I think 4K is reaching for the screen. I'd be happy. Give me like a good low power 1080p OLED screen, and then have the dock run 4K on the TV. Well, that would be good.
Well, that's what they're not 100% confirmed on with it here. They're saying, yeah, it's a new OLED screen, but
you could just say OLED.
OLED, OLED, whatever. I'm saying OLED because it's an LED. It's not a LED. It's an LED. It's a acronym.
I know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. So it's OLED, not OLED. You know what? Tell us on Facebook and Twitter if Ryan is incorrect on this one. I just say OLED.
Hey, it's good enough for Lou. It's good enough for me.
Okay. Okay, so here's the deal, man. Like, they're not sure if it's just a new screen, if it's 4K support within the actual handheld mode. Is it 4K support with just a new dock? Is it a new console in general? There's not enough info here to really, give a definitive answer like, yeah, Nintendo's coming out with like a pro version of the Switch. What would be cool, though, is the ability to get a new dock for, say, $100 that has a new chip and allows you to, of course, play 4K on your TV. Like, and to your point, if there is a new screen, yeah, it's released and such, and that's your new screen, and maybe they drop the price point of the prior Switch, or maybe it's just out of production at that point in time. Maybe that's all they do. But, a lot of people talk about, Switch Pro. Are they going to have Switch 2?
New Nintendo Switch.
I don't even know if this would technically count as that, as like a pro version, especially if they just go like, if you're putting in a new screen, but you're keeping a resolution on the handheld mode the same, and the only thing you literally change is the dock, and you have that dock available for like other consumers to just kind of pick up and swap out their old docks. I mean, who knows? But I don't know if that really counts as like a pro version. Like it's an upgrade, yeah, but like unless you're redoing like a huge chunk of the hardware.
I mean, technically, the performance was better on like the PS4 Pro versus the PS4 regular, and helped to push the graphics higher. So if you're getting better graphics out of it by just having a higher definition screen and putting in a bigger chip to push it further, I mean, that's what a pro is.
But I guess it depends on how Nintendo pushes it, right? Is Nintendo just quietly ceasing production of an older model and putting out a brand new model?
Well, think about think about how they handled the DS line. So like once they came out with like the new 3DS, I don't think that they kept making the regular 3DS. Like, I know you can't go buy like the old like launch one for like a long time. That's the one that I had. Like, the new ones are way better and way nicer, and a lot of them have that second little nub.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've got one of the new 3DS consoles, and I love it.
I would want one of those new 2DSs.
Ew. No. No.
I think they're cool.
I don't like 2DS, because you could turn your 3DS into a 2DS. You just don't put on the 3D.
No, I like the shape of it.
Oh, I gotcha.
It's like a wedge.
But yeah, I mean, it really depends on how Nintendo pushes this out into market. Like I said, is it quietly, we're going to push this out and it's 4K? I guess you can't really push out quietly a 4K model of something unless you keep the price point the same and you just cease production of the other one, and that's it. Like, that's just a new standard.
Well, I mean, who knows? Like, when they were developing the Switch, it's been out for, 4 years now?
Something like that.
So they were working on it, like, at least a couple years before that when they finalized, like, all the parts that they were probably going to be using. So it's like, we're 6 years away from the last time they looked at price points on screens. Like, I know 4K TVs have come a long way in that last 6 years. So, 4K displays, like, cell phones, like, all look great now.
Yeah.
Like, you don't buy phones with bad screens anymore. So there's no reason you couldn't get a bigger one and slap it in a Switch.
But I guess one of the other things here, too, though, is, like, they've already done a few minor updates, like longer battery life and that type of stuff. Their consoles, like, that's technically an upgrade as well if you have a longer battery life in a console, and they quietly push that out. That's not like it was
that
heavily
changed
pushed.
it, like, from, like, I think it added, like, a -01 or something to the model number.
Yeah, and that's what I'm wondering. Like, is this truly going to be, like, a mass marketed brand new Switch console, or is it that quiet, we're just now putting this as a norm, we're ceasing production of the old one?
I think they'll go with the new title.
I don't think they're doing a new title.
No, like the new Switch. Like,
no,
they did the
new 3DS. I don't even
even
think they're doing that. I don't even think
if
they
they change the whole screen resolution.
Because then, okay, so here's the thing.
If they made it 4K, that'd be like a whole different thing. But it's 720p right now.
They've already said they're only like...
It's not even like full HD.
Yeah, but nobody cares. I mean, given how many it's sold.
Well, nobody cares because it's coming from like the 3DS.
Exactly. So,
But like if you made it 4K, all of a sudden it's got the same display resolution as the PS5. I mean, obviously
no.
it won't have ray tracing,
The PS5
but it would have 4K graphics.
PS5 is supposed to be able to go up to 8K down the road.
Not right now, it doesn't.
Not right now, it doesn't. But
so it would be the same.
it'd be like a PS4
It'd be like a
4K.
PS4 Pro,
Yeah.
which is a huge step up.
Yeah, well, it's a huge step up, but I don't see them marketing a new console when they're in the middle of this life cycle of another console selling so well. You're going to stem any sort of sales from like the Switch Lite, for example. People are going to be like, well, why would I buy a Switch Lite when
People buy a Switch Lite because they don't want to play it on their TV and they're okay with not having like the better graphics. But if you're going to put out one that's going to still remain portable, but be like way higher resolution, that's like a big draw. That's something people would want to know about. They wouldn't want to accidentally buy something that looks 3 times as good. Well, that's a huge difference.
Here's the thing, though.
John's dumb. Tell him he's dumb.
No, I'm not done. So you'd have to upgrade the screen on the Switch Lite, right?
No, you wouldn't, because that one would still be the cheap portable model.
Okay,
because people buy that because they don't want to play on their TV. You could get the regular Switch, and it looks better on your TV than it does in the handheld mode. The people that are buying the Switch Lite are buying it because they only want to play it on the bus.
I just can't see him saying the new Switch, the new Nintendo Switch.
We'll see how wrong John is.
We'll see if this even happens. We've been talking about this since the Switch came out.
I know, that's the most annoying part, is it's just like back and forth. Like we just did, I thought it was more recent, but it was actually like 3 weeks ago we did that article where it was Bowser, and he was like, no, we're just focusing on what we're doing now. And it's like, okay, I believe you. You're an exec. And then all of a sudden it's like, nope, we data mined all this stuff. He's lying.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was data mining with like the battery and all this other stuff too that happened long ago.
Yeah, but the battery happened.
Yeah, the battery happened, but it was such a minor upgrade.
Yeah, I know. 3 times better resolution is not...
So, hold on. When they data mine, what did they say they data mined to get this?
I don't know.
I don't remember exactly what they were data mining. That wasn't like a firmware update or something that they data mined on. Because I mean, if you're like, why would that's just the dumbest thing? Like, if you're Nintendo, if it's a firmware update, why would you put this type of info into a firmware update right now?
Dude, I don't know. I don't make code.
Unless somebody...
Or video game consoles. I don't know how that works. Don't ask me. Ugh. We're not experts.
We're kind of experts. We have to position it that
way.
We're
industry insiders.
One day we might be. Either way, dude, I don't see, if it does happen, I don't see it happening in 2021. I could see it happening in 2022. There's no reason to release a new Switch Pro or new Switch or whatever the hell you want to call it. There's no point. They just sold 1.5 million consoles in the span of a week just 2 weeks ago.
No, I know, but like with the DS stuff, like they take the same chip. Like the new one that they made would just have better graphics.
My point is, they're not selling 500,000 consoles in a week or even 250,000 consoles in a week on a global basis. They are like ridiculously pummeling right now the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. There's no reason to put out a new console right now. No reason
it will
whatsoever.
have been 5 years.
I just don't see it happening right away.
5 years is a normal amount of time for Nintendo to come out with something new.
The only reason I could see it coming out this year...
They do it every, 5 years.
Here's the only reason I could see it coming out this next year would be because of the Legend of Zelda anniversary and having new Switch Zelda consoles that they would release. That's the only way I see this happening this year.
Why would they do that? They wouldn't make enough for everybody. They would make
Exactly. High demand. Nintendo going back to their roots of not making enough product and destroying the market. That's what Nintendo does best, Ryan. That's why Sega's not in the market anymore. They put too many consoles
You're so wrong about this.
We'll see. You know what? Let us know in the comments. I think Nintendo's not doing that this year. 2022, not 2021. All right, let's get into our inflation deflation this week. My God, I think that's the most we've gone back and forth on the topic. Tecmo Bowl.
Tecmo Bowl.
Now, would you believe me, Ryan, if I said this was developed and published by Tecmo?
I would.
You would? Okay. Well, that's who it was.
Because I wrote it down.
That's who it was developed. That's true. This was released in February of 1989. For some reason, I thought it was February right now, and I'm like, dude, like we hit it right on the mark.
Nope.
No, we didn't. I'm a month behind or ahead. What kind of game is this? It is a sports game, and of course, the reception has been considered in several as a top 100 games. Several.
It's been on
groups.
several top 100 games
Dude,
lists. John can't read today.
I can't read. Like I swear.
I'll do the brass tacks later.
You should totally do the brass tacks later. So it's been considered in several top 100 games of all time lists.
Yeah, I have never played Tecmo Bowl. I had a good time. I got absolutely crushed. It was like 60-6. It was brutal.
Yours was really bad. No, you were 56-6. Don't cut yourself.
56.
Yeah, don't cut yourself short, Ryan. Yeah, use 56 points. You didn't give up that many.
No.
Yeah. I, on the other hand, lost 35-21, and I was playing a second game, and I was only down. I had a kick return. That was pretty cool. Going all the way.
They just pick it off all the time.
Well, I mean, if you're just really shitty at passing, that's what happens. I got picked off 3 times. In that second game, I got picked off 3 times as well before the first half ended.
But you did stop a extra point.
I stopped an extra point, and I picked it off myself as well. So they were only up 14-7 technically. So I was in that game for sure.
I had a lot of fun though. John absolutely would have stomped me if we played like versus though.
We gotta play some Madden.
Dude, you would stomp me even worse at that.
Probably. Yeah.
I played a little Blitz.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
Blitz is fun. You get like the flame and you can run fast. That's cool.
I have some NFL Blitz. We could play that next week. Although we gotta play a Sega game. We promised Sega. And technically we could have played Tecmo Super Bowl on the Sega Genesis. And that would have kind of fulfilled.
We'll do it for Super Bowl.
Okay.
Put it in the books.
All right. So for the Super Bowl, we will play Tecmo Super Bowl. Or Tecmo Bowl Super. I don't remember the name. Tecmo Super Bowl.
I think it's Tecmo Super Bowl.
Yeah. Okay. We'll play that one. I think that one, I don't know if they both do, but I think they both have Bo Jackson, or one of them has Bo Jackson. He used to be that not dual threat player. He played both baseball and football and was an absolute monster. And he's like nearly unstoppable in Tecmo Bowl. So I'll play as Oakland, just so I could play as Bo Jackson. And
I'll also play as Oakland then.
I don't know if you can. We'll find out. Oakland versus Oakland. That just wouldn't be fun if we're running Bo Jackson.
Who's gonna win? Who's gonna lose?
I guess we just got to see who's better than in that case. All right. So of course, like I said, or like Ryan said, it's been considered in several top 100 game lists of all time. And let's look at price point, dude. So complete in box is sitting at $25.48. It peaked at $26.07 in December of 2016. That is trending upwards. A loose copy runs you $10, and that peaked at $15 December 16th, or December 2016, sorry, and that's trending up as well. Of course, this is the Nintendo version, and there are other versions out there. But overall, dude, what were your thoughts on this game? I mean, you got crushed. I got semi-crushed. I thought I was crushed initially, and then I saw your game, and it didn't feel so bad.
I'm not huge at sports, like I said. But I had a lot of fun. It's fun for me because like it's just 4 plays. The controls are pretty simple, except apparently I don't know if holding down B is run or if tapping A is run. I should have looked through like a manual or something. But I had a good time. I thought it was fun. I would totally play again and more, and I look forward to it. So I think that this is totally a worthwhile pickup. I mean, nobody really needs complete in-box NES games, so for $10, hell yeah, this is totally a steal. I would totally pick this up for $10.
Okay, so you think it's priced just right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I would say that as well, man. Just right on this game. I think Tecmo Super Bowl goes for a little bit more.
It always feels bad to say something's underpriced. But I think that this is underpriced. Like, I think that I would buy this for like even $15 because I think it was.
So then you think that this is deflated?
Yeah.
Okay. It's going to be deflated because I think $10 is a good price point for this game. I did enjoy it myself as well. The 4 plays definitely makes things easier, but for somebody like me who does play a lot of other football games and such, or other sports games, it's a little simple for me, I guess. Yeah, like you got 2 run plays and you've got your pass plays and the ability to move the field and whatnot as you need to, and it's a quick pace game. I mean, we're talking 1-minute quarters is what we were playing. So I mean, yeah, I would say for what we played and what you're getting, and it's a game that you can sit back with some friends and have some fun and, get your $10 worth pretty quick.
This would be a fun portable game. I think there's a
Yeah.
Game Boy version.
There probably
If I
is.
was reading.
I'm sure there's a Game Gear version, given that there's a Sega version. So,
I know there's a Game Boy version. I looked at it earlier.
oh, did you? What
Yeah.
about Game Gear though? Because Game Gear, you got that nice big full color screen. I remember playing some good baseball games in there. I don't remember playing any Tecmo though when I was younger. You got the list up.
Doesn't look like Game Gear's on here.
Well, regardless,
Yeah.
we're talking about the NES version, so definitely pick that up at $10. Well, dude, we cut ourselves short on this one.
Yeah.
Shorter episode than usual. Let's see. So next week, I don't know, maybe let's play some NFL Blitz. Let's just do football until the Super Bowl.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I got NFL Blitz on one of these consoles, and I've also got Blitz the League on PS3, so we can
Do you have like a backyard football?
dude, what am I, 5? Like, no. I might, maybe, probably not.
All right. Well, we'll do Blitz next week then. I
All right,
guess.
we'll do one of the NFL Blitz games, either PS1 or I think I got it on Dreamcast actually.
Okay. I like the Dreamcast. We haven't played that in a while.
Yeah. If I don't, I have NFL 2K1.
We could try that too.
I have multiple football games, people, so let's just do that. Let's do some football games leading up to the Super Bowl. We're going to call that right now. I think that's going to be fun. And then we don't have to figure out games every week because we'll know what we're playing. All right. Well,
No football trivia.
yeah. Oh, shit. I'm going to give you football trivia, too.
I won't know any of it.
This will be fantastic. This is going to be the best week.
Would
or
you know
week-
football trivia if I gave you football trivia?
Depends on the football trivia. It depends.
Doesn't it always?
Yeah, it depends. Like, if you ask me, like, statistic type things or, players, historical players, like, there's some I might get. Some I probably won't. Majority of them I won't. So we'll see. But this is going to be the best, 3 weeks ever leading to the Super Bowl.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I can't. Or 4 weeks
Join us.
for football. All right. Well, this has been episode 114 of the Game Deflators Podcast. I promise you guys we're recording in the morning time frame. This is not late at night. I have not been drinking. In fact, I have water. But we will join you all next week for episode 115. My name's John.
I might be here, and I might be Ryan.
Thanks for listening.